Today I'm going to be walking through how to install the password JDM intake for the S2000. This one is an AP2 with drive-by-wire. The most important part about this is getting this, power chamber to sit correctly. What you want to do is, I put some vinyl here. There's a dip in this area and you'll notice that this sharp angle actually levels out, and you want the intake to sit over more towards the center, closer to here than towards here, because this side gives a little bit more room. One thing to consider to make it sit better, I used the OEM brackets from the stock intake box, and you might have to put some washers behind this bolt, or actually not this bolt. You might have to put some washers underneath the AIRBOX just to pull this part up and push this part down, because the fitment to the hood is very tight. You can see that I have some red vinyl up here as well, and that's to keep the AIRBOX from rubbing the hood. For your horn, you are going to want to relocate it. For me, I just flip the horn around backwards, and that gave enough space. But you can make your own bracket if you want. I just didn't have time to. After you get this part sorted, everything should be much simpler as far as putting this part on, the snorkel. For me, I decided I wanted to keep this stock air deflector, I guess it's called. I taped up these holes because I won't need them anymore. It's just a rough cut. I can probably make a template better, but because of, you're gonna have to trim this area for the AC valve, and some other parts will need to be trimmed as well, but you can kind of figure that out as you go along. As you can see here, I cut along here, moved down. This part I kind of messed up and I cut it in half by accident, but anything that goes wrong you can kind of fill it with vinyl. I've gone ahead and just mucked this up, and it should be able to close the hood, but it's very finicky and you're probably not going to get that on your first try, but just play with it. The most important part is to start with the AIRBOX, definitely. The snorkel and the AIRBOX are a little less of an issue. The main issue is the clearance from this to the hood. I actually had to loosen this bolt as well as this bolt and move the hood latch up slightly just so the hood can close. I was worried that the hood would sit a little higher than the bumper and the panels wouldn't align properly, but I think I figured out a good solution. Also, one thing to note with this intake is that you won't be able to use your stock hood prop anymore. You'll have to use either hood struts, or you just hide that hood prop either in your car or in your trunk. Don't need this shit anymore. Fuck. So close. God damn it. Attempt number 2. Oh.
6.5 hours later.
They say you don't gotta go home.
Come on. Oh my gosh. You can feel everything kind of compressing, but once this actually locks down, once the hood locks down, the hood actually comes up just a little bit, so there's enough room for everything to fit and kind of rattle around. I do recommend adding vinyl in the spots that I told you on top of the hood and on the radiator support, just because this area has a high area of friction from vibration, just because the engine does its thing and rattles around, which causes everything else to rattle around. So just to protect your paint and just to protect the longevity of everything, I added this sort of mesh on the snorkel just to make sure that my filter doesn't just pick up all the bugs and leaves. It's very coarse, so it lets most of the air in, and then, you know, some leaves will get stuck here and there, but I imagine that I'm gonna have to deal with a lot of leaves building up in this general area. One sunset later, and bumper's finally on. Just gonna put on this last piece. Finally. And now it's all done. I will have a full review of this in the coming weeks, I guess. Thank you.